All right, are you guys ready? Okay, all right, so we're looking at the first page here. The first page we're looking at is for our chapter 1. In chapter 1, we talked about different types of numbers, and our main number that we have to talk about is rational. Oh, rational. Oh, this is going to be in the recording. That's great. Rational versus irrational. Okay, so rational, these are positive or negative numbers. These are whole numbers. These are fractions. And these are decimals, but these are certain kinds of decimals. These are decimals that end, so like 0.5 that ends, or one that has a pattern. So for example, the decimal 0.3, repeating that as a pattern, it has 3's that go on forever. Okay, so all of those things make up a rational number. Okay, whereas irrational numbers are kind of the opposite. These are decimals that don't end, and they don't have a pattern. Okay, what's one that we all know? Pi, yeah. So pi is like a known irrational number. It goes on forever and ever. There is no pattern. Okay. We also have other ones that we've been talking about this whole time. I just haven't been telling you it's irrational. If I take the square root of 5, is that a nice number? No. So when you take the square root of non-perfect squares, that's how we get irrational numbers. So like the square root of 5, the square root of 11, things like that. Okay. All right, so I think we could, let's answer these. We'll do these together real quick. I think we can do this. So if I took the square root of 19, Marina, you need to grab those 4 packets over there. Square root of 19. Is that a nice perfect square? No, so we would call this number irrational. What do you guys think? Can we do this on our, yeah. Okay, out of all of those over there, on number 2, which of those are irrational? C. C? Is it a pattern? Is it going to be 6 forever and ever and ever and ever? Yeah. So that means it's rational. I'm looking for irrational. I know, yeah. Okay, so make sure you're reading the directions, okay? Which one of these is rational? C, yep, that's just going to be 4. And then, can you guys circle the irrational ones? Circle the irrational ones. Bless you. Does everybody agree with that? Okay, it's not the square root of 25 because the square root of 25 is 5. Okay, you're going to have a couple questions like this on your final. Can we handle it? Okay. All right. Our next section in chapter 1, which luckily it's things we've been talking about this whole time this year, is we had to write equations from sentences. So we kind of have these words and phrases. I'm not going to go through those. I think you guys can handle that yourself. So we have all these words and phrases that mean to add or subtract or all of that good stuff. Okay. So here we go. I'll do these couple with you. So it says 3 times the sum of A and B. So what are A and B doing? What does sum mean? Adding. So I'm going to say A plus B, and then these two things are being multiplied by 3. Do you remember doing this? Okay. So it says 4 is being divided by, and I have the word difference. Difference means subtract. Do you see why chapter 1 is going to take us like 2 seconds to do? Brooke collects spoons from places she visits. She already has 15 and collects 4 more each year. Write an expression to model how many she will have. So we know she has 15, and then each year she's adding 4. So I'm going to say plus 4y for year, spoons, or whatever you want to do. Okay? What do you guys think? Can we handle this? Okay. That's a lot of spoons. All right. Can you guys do 6 and 8? Can you do 6 and 8? Do 6 and 8. All right. On 6 and 8, did everyone get A? This thing. Did everyone get A? Okay. And did everyone get D? Okay, it says it's rising, so we have to have a plus. If it was descending, that's when we'd have a minus. I'll give you these two answers in case anyone's gone ahead or if you want to study it for later. This one is B and this one is B. Okay. Can we write equations from sentences? Okay. All right. We have a little bit more of chapter 1 and then we are done. The other thing we did for chapter 1 is we plugged values in for our x's, okay? One thing I want you to make sure you are noticing is when we have negatives, you need to make sure you are using your parentheses, especially if you're plugging everything into your calculator, okay? Your calculator is not smart enough to know when negatives are on the inside or outside, so make sure you put parentheses around the things that you need to put it around, okay? So this one says that we are going to replace all of our x's with 2, okay? So notice though on this one there's a negative chilling on the outside. So I have a negative here and then the 2 is on the inside, okay? If I were taking this final, I would probably plug the whole thing into my calculator and double check, did I plug it in correctly? But I would probably have my calculator do the whole thing. I'm not saying that you guys don't know 5 times 2, but sometimes we make silly mistakes. Okay. You guys okay if I give this to you to help us speed up time? Okay, so when I plug in this into my calculator, I'm going to get 5. Okay. Can we handle plugging things in? Can we handle plugging them into our calculator? Okay. This one is very similar. The only difference is it's written in function form. So this is actually what we did in chapter 2. So this is chapter 1, this is chapter 2, and all what this is saying is I'm going to replace every single x with negative 5. Okay. So I'm going to have negative 2 times negative 5 plus 7. And then again, if you want to use your calculator to help you double check with your negatives, for this one, we're going to get 17. Okay. These two problems very similar, just written in different ways. Okay. All right. Our next one is kind of taking what we did up here. We're going to write an equation and we're going to plug something in. Okay, so it says you're ordering binders for school online. Each binder is $2 and there's a shipping fee, oh my gosh, of $7. That's a bit high. And we're going to write an expression. Okay, so I'm going to say 2x because we don't know how many binders we're buying. And we know we have to pay $7. Okay, so that's our first part. And then it says we know we're going to buy 6 binders. So I'm going to replace my x with 6. Okay, and how much is that going to cost us for 6 binders? 19. Yep. Okay. So plugging stuff in, writing equations. Can you do 9, 10, and 13? 9, 10, and 13? All right. For number 9, did everyone get A? Everyone got A? Okay. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. Number 10, everyone got C? C? Everyone's okay with that? Okay. And then on 13, did everyone get D? Is everybody okay with that? Okay. On this one, I'll give you guys these two. I have B and I have C. Okay. Can you handle plugging things in? Can you handle writing an equation and then plugging stuff in? Okay. All right. We're going to move on to chapter, well, it's still chapter 1. This is when we were solving things. Luckily, these are things we've been doing all year. So again, we've been solving things. It's just been more intense, okay? So remember when we're solving these, we're trying to get x on one side and then solving using our solving skills. So as I look at this problem, I want to first get my x's together. So I'm going to subtract the 3x from both sides. Okay. So now I have x plus 5 equals -1. And then our last step, we would subtract 5. Yeah, guys, have we been doing this, like solving stuff like this all year? Yeah, so I'm going to subtract the 5, and x is going to equal -6. Do we remember doing that? Okay. I'm going to skip this one here. I'm going to go down to this one because it's basically the same thing. If we have parentheses and we have something in front, what do you have to do with it? Distribute it. Okay, so this one's a negative, so I have to distribute the negative to both of these. Okay, left side staying the same. And now I have -3x minus 4. And now it's the same thing that we just had above. I want to get my x's together, so I'm going to add that 3x to the other side. If you're moving stuff in a different way, that's fine too. That's what is nice about algebra. And then our last step is I'm going to add the 1, and x equals -3. Okay. So if we have problems like these two that we just did, get your variables together and then solve. Sometimes you might have to distribute first. I want to do this one on the right because I know this is something students always struggle with. So these are our literal equations. These are where we have all letters, okay? And you need to read for what letter they're having us solve. And then you're going to do the same stuff that we did over here, but just with letters, okay? So I'm trying to get this b on its own, so what should we try to get rid of first? I'm going to get rid of the c. Okay, so I'm going to times this c to both sides. Okay, so then on this side I'm going to have AC. Then on this side the c's are going to cancel, and I'm going to be left with 4b. And then our last step to get b on its own would be to divide by 4. Okay. And then that would be our answer. Okay, it's been a while since we've done those. Okay. All right, questions on that? Okay, I'm going to have you guys do 14, 16, and 17. 14, 16, and 17. All right, 14, I hope everybody distributed the 2, distributed the negative, and watched out for your negatives. And I hope everyone got A. Okay, I'll give you 15. 15 real quick. The answer is going to be B. Okay. This one, very similar to the one that we did up there, so I'm hoping everyone got C. Is everybody okay with that one? All right, this one, I'm okay that I'm going to do this one. So this one says we're going to solve for Z. We have done this before. If you have a fraction that equals a fraction, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross multiply. Okay, so I'm going to take this 2 times this 3x, and I'm going to get 6x. I'm going to multiply this y to the 5z, so I'm going to have 5yz. And then our last step, if we're going to solve for z, I'm just going to divide by 5y on both sides. Okay, and then z is going to equal all of this. Okay, so that means our answer is going to be B. Okay. Now, real quick, let's say we get to finals day next week, Thursday, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. We forget how to solve. Can you do a guess and check? Yeah. Could you plug in this value and see if it works, to see if it equals both sides? Yes. I don't recommend that because is that going to take time to do on every single one? Yeah. But is it a possibility in case you forgot or if you want to check your answer? Yeah. Okay, questions on solving? Okay. All right, we are going to jump into chapter 2. We're not going to get done with chapter 2 because there's just too much stuff. I want to get a little bit farther so there's less to do tomorrow and next week. Okay. All right, the first thing we did in chapter 2 is we talked about our functions, and we also talked about domain and range. Reminder, domain is all of our x values, whereas then range is all of our y values. We looked at two different things when we were talking about domain and range. We were looking at graphs like this. These are called distinct points, and these were called our continuous graph ones, and they both look very different. Okay. When we were doing these, reminder, we listed all of our domains. So we made a list of all of our x's, and then we made a list of all of our y's. Okay. So I'm going to look at my x's here. So I see my first x here is -4. My next x right here is -3. I have one here at -1. I have one here at 1. And we have 2 here at 3. I'm going to say we usually don't write repeats, but sometimes we do. So I'm going to list the 3 twice. Sometimes on your list they will have repeats, sometimes they won't. So I don't want to say it's never going to happen. Okay, sometimes it will. Okay, so those are all of our x values. Do we remember doing this? Okay, so we're going to go through, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to list all my y values. So I see I have one down here at -3. And I see that I also have another one at -3. So I'm going to list that one as well at the same time. Okay, next I see I have one here at 1. I see I have one here at 2, at 3, and at 5. So can you look at a graph? Can you list all your x's? Can you list all your y's? Okay, so that's distinct points. Our other one, this is a graph. We'll graph these tomorrow. I don't want to graph today. So this is our absolute graph. So if we remember, they go out and on and forever, going out and forever. No one's going to see my arms during the recording, so this is pointless. Hi, Emma. Grab all those packets. So if I have a graph that's going out and on forever, what does that mean? Our domain is something like infinite. All real numbers. Yep, so our domain is all real numbers. Okay. And then our y's are not going to be all real numbers because they have a point that they start. Okay. If I look here, hi Joey, yes, please grab that packet. You are all now in my recordings. Down here, what is this point? What do we say? What do we think? -4. So all of our y's are starting at -4, and then which way are they going? They're all going up. So I'm going to say y's are greater than or equal to -4. Okay. I am going to tell you guys, this is probably where you guys struggled the most on your guys' test when I did this last time with you. Okay. We see the difference between those two? Okay. I'm going to flip page. If you guys are okay to help speed up time, I'm just going to have you guys do number 21. I think that's where you guys struggle the most. I think you guys can list x's and y's. So do 21 on the next page. All right. I'll give you the answers to these. For 18, your answer is A. 19, your answer is B, if you guys want to go look at those later. And 20, your answer is D. And then 21, if you guys look, we have some of them flip-flop. We also have some going the wrong way, so be careful of that. For 21, everyone's getting C. Okay, questions on that? All right. The next thing we're going to talk about is we are going to talk about functions. When we were talking about functions, we had a test to know if something was a function or not. Do you guys remember what it was called? Yeah, we call it the vertical line test, VLT. Okay, so reminder, it's when we do a vertical line through a graph. If it hits it more than once, it is not a function. So if I look at this graph here, I see that it touches it here and here. So this is not a function because it fails VLT. Okay. Whereas this one, this absolute graph here, if I put vertical lines through all the points, would it hit it more than once? No. So this one is a function because it passes VLT. Do you remember doing this back in the day? Okay. So let's go through function. No. Function. 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 Okay. Can you do that on your test, on your final? Okay. All right. We're going to talk real quick about some of our linear equations, and then I'll be done, okay? All right. So our first one we're going to talk about is our point slope form and our slope equation. I do have terrible news. You will have to have these memorized. We don't give you a note card for Algebra 2, so these are some things you will have to know, okay? So when we are using this one, if you know a point and a slope, you are going to use this equation here because it's called point slope form. Okay. So, for example, on this problem here, it says if I know my slope is -2 and it goes through this point here, I then am going to plug it into this equation here. Okay. So this right here, this is my x1 and my y1. So I'm going to say y. Notice my y1 is negative, and it's a minus here, so we're actually going to say plus, yep. And then I have my slope is -2, and then I'm going to say x minus 1. Okay. Remember doing this? Okay. Is everybody okay? I'm going to click on them. I've started to speed up. Okay. All right. Our next one. This time I'm going to find my slope. We're going to find our slope. And then whenever, again, you know your point and your slope, we're going to plug it into point slope form. I'll write it again here. Okay. So the first thing we have to do this time is find our slope. So this is my x1, y1. This is my x2, y2. And we're going to find our slope. So I'm going to say 6 minus 4, -1 minus 2. On top, we're going to have 2. And on bottom, we're going to have -3. So our slope is -2/3. And then after that, it doesn't really matter what point you use. I'm just going to use the first one. It doesn't matter, though. So I'm going to say y minus 4, our slope that we just found, and then x minus 2. If you find the wrong slope, is everything going to be wrong then? Yep. Okay. Can you guys do 25? Do 25. Okay. I will give you guys these answers. For 23, our answer should be C. For 24, our answer should be B. For 25, everyone just got B. Okay, good. Everyone's okay. And then for 26, we should have A. Okay. Everyone's okay. All right, another linear equation stuff that we have to remember, which again, we're not giving you guys, just have to know these. It's this linear equation right here. It's y equals mx plus b. Reminder, we use this for graphing. You guys used this last year for graphing, so hopefully we have this memorized. Reminder, our slope is our m, and our b is our y-intercept. So again, if you know these two things, you're going to use the slope-intercept form. So reminder, when we're doing this, we're always trying to get it to say y equals. So if I'm starting here, what should we do first to make this say y equals? I'm going to add the 5x, yep, to both sides. Okay. And then we would divide by 2. Yep, so we're going to divide by 2 divide by 2. So then y equals 5/2 x plus 3 over 2. Okay, so now it's in that proper form. Okay, do we remember doing this? Okay, two other things we have to remember about this is we talked about parallel and perpendicular lines. If lines are parallel, they have, I'll switch colors. They have the same slope. Okay, and if they are perpendicular, we call those opposite reciprocals. Okay. So for this one here, if I said find the line that is parallel to this one, what would my slope be? 3. Yep, you don't change it, so our parallel line will just be 3. Whereas this one, our perpendicular slope would be, so I'm going to change the sign, so it's going to be negative, but I see that I have to flip it, so it's going to be negative 3 over 2. Okay, we remember doing this? Okay. All right, we'll answer this question, and then we'll be done with this stuff. I won't make you guys do these problems. All right, so if we are, again, if I know a slope, I know a point, again, we're going to use this equation here. It helps us with everything. Okay. All right, so I'm finding a line that is parallel to this line and goes through this point. Okay, so what would our slope be if it's parallel? -2, yep, so -2. So since I have a slope and a point, I'm going to say y minus 3 equals -2 and x minus 1. Okay. Sometimes we'll have you leave it there. Sometimes we'll have you put it into slope-intercept form. So the next thing I want to do, I want to say put it into this form. So what should we do? Let's distribute the 2. Yep. Okay. And then last step, add the 3. Okay. Okay, remember doing this? Okay, I'm going to give you the answers on the next page and then we'll be done. Or do you want to do one like this? Yeah, all right. I'll let you guys. Okay. All right, everyone's okay for me to click on? Okay. All right, here we go. We'll be done here. Our answer is going to be B here, B here, and A, and A. Okay.